The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Let's tidy up this tangle of film by putting it on a reel. Here is a motion picture film, 1,000 feet, 16,000 separate photographs.
Welcome, everyone, to the official space section of the chart.
What's the truth? You can't handle the truth.
Sir, you're out of order. Out of order. I show you out of order.
I guess where we want to start is we were supposed to do this yesterday, and then you were like, hey, man, I got invited to Nosferatu.
Yeah.
And we were all like, yeah, fucking go. Like, we don't want to be the guys who keep you from going. So before we get into any of the things we want to talk about today, how was the premiere?
So it was more of a producer guild, writers guild screening of it. So it wasn't quite the premiere, but Robert Eggers was there and did a Q&A afterwards. And I love that he was just as weird and fidgety as most of the people I went to film school with. So total film nerd. I love him. I love how he makes projects. You know, Nosferatu is an interesting one because I've seen the original, then I saw a redone version where they added spooky colors to it and they did a new score, and that was awesome. But I gotta say, I'm also a huge fan of the Werner Herzog version, and it's hard to get better than that. And I know, so I went into it like, do we need more Nosferatu? And the answer might be no Sferatu. I swear I didn't. I just made that up. I wasn't working on that. But the point is, it's great. I was hoping he would bring more to it, like a little more originality, a little more what makes him so great. He did a pretty faithful adaptation, and then the Dracula story, even like Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula was really good. So it's there's some really good stuff already. So this just was another good Nosferatu. If you don't know the story, if you're not that familiar with it, absolutely go see it. You'll probably love it. But as someone who's very versed in that, in Nosferatus or Nosferati, I was just I was hoping for a little more originality or a little more Eggersism. So.
Sweet. Jimmy's going to see it Christmas Day at 10 o'clock at night. Couldn't be more. Yeah. Couldn't be more of a perfect day to celebrate.
I think it's going to be a new Christmas classic for me.
Why not? It's good counter programming.
Did you get to talk to about anything other than Nosferatu?
No, it was it was a Q&A. It was moderated.
Okay.
You always go in there hoping you can ask your questions, and then it's moderated, and then they whisk him out at the end, and it's like, oh wait, he's not going to stand around in the lobby and let a bunch of film geeks talk to him for 2 hours and waste his life. No, unfortunately. The only one I've ever seen do that is Tarantino.
Really?
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. I went to a Hateful Eight Q&A thing. The only thing is, I was hoping I'd get to ask a question, but again, it was just moderated. But then he went in the lobby and he stood there and he would talk to anybody who wanted to talk to him. And of course, all these idiots come running up to take a picture with him, and he's like, "No pictures, but I will answer any question." And people turn around, they walk away upset. They put their phone down and they walk away, and I'm like, "What? You have an opportunity to ask a question?" No, they just want a picture. So, people are kind of fucked up. I don't know.
You could ask them anything you want.
Yeah, they don't understand the value there. Because they can't show a photo, then they're like, nah.
Ask him what he thinks
so
happens
stupid.
after you die. You can ask him whatever you want.
Yeah.
And you're gonna.
I had a question that my friend begged me not to ask, so I didn't. But
what was it?
Well, the N-word was used so many times in Hateful Eight. I was going to ask him, do you type it out every time, or do you have a hotkey?
And if you do, what is the hotkey? What do you use for the hotkey?
F7? I don't know.
That's an F7 for sure.
Oh, F7.
Oh, that's funny.
That's amazing. That's such a great question.
I think he would have answered honestly.
You know what? He probably would have.
I think he would have definitely appreciated that original kind of question. So
that's what I said. But my friend literally tackled me. I would have had to like ask the question with my friend draped over me like a cloak. Yeah, it wasn't going to work.
That's a backstage for sure.
That's so funny.
I'm glad you got to go. I said to the guys, I was like, yeah, he's going to Nosferatu, and they're like, yeah, tell him it's fine, and I'm like, all right. Already did.
I think we were just jealous more than anything. I was like, damn, that's awesome.
We sat here on Tuesday. What did I watch? I watched Survivor on Tuesday night. Like fucking Adam's.
So like modern day Nosferatu.
Yeah. And I mean, what else? What other take would there to be, right? Like to go back to first generation. I mean, that was made because it was the era that it was made in. What was that, like mid to late 20s?
I think it was
the original?
23, if I remember. I think it was 1923, I think.
And it's still, like, it to this very day, you watch it, and it still creeps you the fuck out.
It's actually, the history of the original one, too, is very interesting because it's one of the earliest lawsuits, like the actual estate of...
Nosferatu?
No, of the guy who wrote Dracula.
Stoker.
Bram Stoker.
Yeah.
They were angry when Nosferatu came out because they basically said, like, you did Dracula without asking permission, I guess. Like, I'm telling you, read up on it. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Shit.
It's like, hey, he's bald.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like a whole different guy, right?
And the judge was actually favored the family and ordered every
copy
real
destroyed. Yeah,
and then obviously not every copy did, but
and that's why Batgirl is still out there.
We have to believe that Batgirl.
I
can
know
be the
it
next
is.
one.
Whatever makes you feel better, Jimmy.
It's on someone's like iPhone 3GS.
Michael Keaton has it. Somebody's got it.
Before we get into the nuts and bolts and the meat of everything, there's always one thing I like to know, and I like to know what someone was doing right before they made it, right before film became prime time for them, so to speak. So, like, you said you went to film school. I guess that's a great place to start. Did you go to film school to be a writer, or did you come out a writer?
I went to film school to be a director, and I realized writing would probably be the way to get to direct, but also writing is how I got into film school. So I was good at writing in the sense that I had won some awards. I had won a writing contest 2 years in a row, like in middle school, and then going into high school. I was really into journalism, and I became the editor of the paper. And an article I wrote actually got like second place in the nation. I had to go to like Columbia University to get this award. But here's the thing.
That's awesome.
Like half the article was bullshit. Like I had this nasty habit of like if the facts, if the true story wasn't good enough, I would embellish it. And I'm like thinking it's for my school paper. Who cares? Like
right.
I quote myself as an unnamed source. I just embellish the shit out of it.
That's awesome.
And then my journalism teacher's like, hey, you got to go to Columbia. You won like a silver medal for the Columbia whatever. And I was like, what? And so I the joke I make is I had enough journalistic integrity to know that I had no journalistic integrity. So I said, look, I could also get a job at the New York Post, I guess, because that doesn't seem to matter. But the point is, I said, you know what? Where can I take kernels of truth and then embellish it and make it more fun for the reader or the viewer? Oh, what about screenwriting? So then I sent some writing that I had done to NYU, and that's how I got in. And I loved writing, and I still want to direct, and I still get to direct here and there, but no big movies. But that was my foray into screenwriting. So I came out of NYU sort of as a director, but also, I got right to work writing, and it took a couple of years out of school. And to answer your question, I was working in a factory in Hackensack, New Jersey that made car washes.
Wait a minute. There's a place that makes tiny car washes? Like,
no, like all the machinery that you would find in a car wash.
Wow.
So like the conveyor that pulls your car along, the tire brushes that clean your tires, the rocker arms, the big curtains that hang down, all that crap. So I would work on machines. I would drill. I would cut. I would machine work. So it was my uncle's factory, and I had worked there every summer in high school and winter breaks and stuff like that, all through college too. And I was working at the car wash factory. My agent would call the shop, and Hector would put down his welding thing and, hey, Adam, it's your boy, it's your girlfriend. And then like I would pick up, and it would be my agent like, hi, sexy. And then finally one day my script sold, and I didn't have to go to the car wash factory.
That's incredible.
Car wash factory.
That's amazing.
It's
amazing.
It's like an episode of How It Gets Made.
Yeah, literally.
It's like Discovery Channel around here.
And my uncle was a huge Star Trek nerd, so the name of the company was Car Trek.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's awesome.
Big fucking points to your
great.
uncle, man. That's great.
That's a Bob's Burgers name.
That is.
Yeah, totally. That's for you, Uncle Gary.
Okay, so is the script the first one that you sold? Is that just Friends, or were there many before that just got you paid to keep working and writing, and then so on and so forth?
No, it was kind of a cool story in the sense that. So I wrote a movie, and again using my kernel of truth embellished. I had wound up on spring break with my parents. I was a year out of college, and we were, they had a timeshare in Cancun, and they invited me and my girlfriend and my brother and his girlfriend, and then everybody couldn't get off work except I had no real job at the moment, so I could go to Mexico with them. And when I got off the plane, it was like, welcome spring breakers. And I was like, oh, fuck, I'm on spring break with my parents. And so I just bought a notebook and I just tried to manufacture as much crazy crap as possible. I put my mom in a foam party at Senor Frog's. My dad was smoking weed in the hot tub with the frat boys. And, I just wrote this script about, a kid that winds up, he has to go on spring break to try to meet the girl, but he has to combine it with the family vacation. So he's navigating his family and he's also trying to get laid. And it was like a teen sex comedy, and it was called Sunburned. And we went out with it, and it didn't sell. And we were so like, what? We just thought it was like going to be an easy sell, and it didn't sell. So then I got pissed, and I was like, I feel like crap. When else did I feel like crap? Oh, yeah, when I was in the friend zone for 2 years with that girl in college. So then I wrote Just Friends. And then just as I was finishing Just Friends, I get a call. MTV read my Sunburn script, and they had a project that they wanted to do that was also spring break based. So they wind up hiring me to write a movie called Spring Break, a Lawyer, which we don't have to talk about ever. And then I get hired for that, and so I can literally get out of the factory. But then I get a call. Harvey Weinstein just read Sunburned, and he loves it, and he wants to meet with you. So then I sell Sunburn to Miramax. And then 2 weeks later or whatever, I get a call. New Line loves Just Friends, because I had finished that at that point, and my manager had slipped it over to New Line because they had a first look deal there, and they were like, yeah, we want it. So boom, over the course of a month, maybe a month and a half, I had gotten hired for this made for MTV movie and sold 2 scripts. So my whole life changed.
Wow.
That's insane.
Incredible.
Dude, there's so many things that I want to take apart in all of that. So the first one being the obvious, did you meet the Weinstein?
Oh yeah.
Can you?
And you thought Nosferatu was scary.
I mean, prior to 2018, I had always heard just through conjecture and rumor that he was, intense and scary and would mess your career up. But that's all you heard, right? Standard, par for the course shit.
Yeah.
But I'm sure
also, this was 1999. So this is way before all that other fun stuff came out, which, which is completely believable. And, look, I had no access or privy to that. I just knew he was a disgusting man who was a mogul, who knew his movies and was successful that way, but just was a horror of a human.
Right.
And I could tell even when I went to the meeting, everybody in the office, if you told me that there was a live tiger walking around the office and will bite anybody, it was like a quiet place. Yeah. It's like no one can make a sound or move because Harvey will see you and pounce, so everybody's on their, their best behavior, head down. You could tell, they even had, I think they used to put a little thing on their desk so that other people could walk into the office and know that it was a Harvey day. He's in the office. So everybody,
genius.
Always be working at the same time, don't fuck around or do anything.
That's
you get
scary.
one bathroom break. Yeah. And so then I go.
No shitting today.
Yeah, exactly. So I go to the meeting, and he is just as advertised. He's this big, loud, bombastic, drank about 18 Diet Cokes in front of me.
Wow.
And was just the first thing he says to me, he goes, and this is, like I said, this is a movie about a kid who goes on spring break with his parents, and that's where a lot of the comedy comes from. He goes, let me tell you something. Kids, they hate their fucking parents, so we're going to lose the parents. And I was like, oh.
What's the movie?
Wow.
I was like, it feels like if I have a movie about a kid who goes on spring break with his parents, we take out the parents, it's about a kid that goes on spring break. Hey, I know what you're going to say, but like, do you trust me? I've won Oscars, okay? Do you trust me?
Holy shit, he's a lunatic.
Yeah, so then I'm like, sure, what do you got? And he's like, let me tell you something. Leonardo DiCaprio and Ben Affleck, they get to fuck everybody they want because they're big movie stars. But I got this friend, Fabrizio, and he fucks everybody because he knows how girls are. And then like he goes into this whole thing about his friend who's not in the film business, but just is some rich Italian dude, I guess, who and he starts naming names. I won't even dignify that, but he starts naming names of people about all the people that his friend has had sex with and how he wants to add this character to my script now.
Fabrizio.
And so our guy goes on spring break and he learns about women from this fucking
Fabrizio.
Fabrizio, the fuck machine.
The Fabrizio, the fuck
He's
machine.
a fucking lunatic. Wow.
Yeah.
He's crazy.
And as he's saying all this, he stops himself at one point and he's listing, like I said, he's listing names of people, famous people who I know. And then he stops, he goes, am I making you uncomfortable? And he turns to the female VP of, creative director or whatever is in the room. And she's taking notes of the meeting and she just got her head down. She's like, no, I'm fine. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like, and then here's the best part. I mean, this is back then, I said something like, okay, I don't know how realistic this is or whatever. He goes, what, a kid going on spring break with his fucking parents? And I said, well, that's where I got the idea because it wound up happening to me. But also I had come up with a very, realistic way. This kid is, in the movie, he loves this girl and she's going on spring break. He can't afford to go, but his parents, they always go on a family vacation.
Yeah.
So he coaxes them into going to Cancun. So he knows what he's doing. And I was like, it's kind of realistic. He goes, I'm telling you, no one's going to buy it. It couldn't happen. I go, well, it kind of happened to me. He goes, oh, well, I guess I've lived a better life than you.
What the fuck?
Jesus Christ.
So now I'm so happy to say, I think the roles have reversed. I will happily trade my life for his right now.
That's just bizarre. Why want to?
Wow.
It's just such a strange thing. Do you think it's just him wanting to have control over it and making it his own thing?
No, I think he wanted to get his friend Fabrizio in a movie. I don't know.
He really loved this Fabrizio, man.
Loved him.
Fuck.
And then I
That's
heard
crazy.
other stories and stuff. And then, then we were like, there was a fun moment where like, I didn't love where the producers, like he saddled me with these three people and, it was fine, but like, I didn't love the direction it was going. So I had mentioned to my manager and then he was able to talk to them. And then they put a different producer on who had done some really cool stuff like Scream and the original Scream and stuff. And so I was working with this guy and he, we had a great working relationship. And then somehow it was decided that it should be set at a Club Med. And I had said, well, I've never been to Club Med. I don't know anything about it. So next thing I know, they're sending me to Club Med Cancun to do some research for a couple of like a week or so.
Oh, a whole bunch of research, eh?
Yeah. So that was fun. There's a funny story because I was with my wife at the time was my girlfriend. And so I said, look, I don't want to be a weird guy walking around Club Med with a pad. Like, well, what do you do now? And so I said, can I bring my girlfriend? And they were like, yeah, but we can't pay for her. So I was like, that's fine. I'll pay for her stuff. Like, and then they were like, okay, but do you want to both fly first class? Because we have to fly you first class. And do you want to pay for her first class ticket? And I was like, yeah, of course. And they're like, it's like $3,800. I was like, fuck that. No, she's in coach. And then I was like, no. You know what? Actually, I got an idea. I go, I'll pay for the first class. What was it? Wait, I'm forgetting the story. Because, I know. Yeah, I bought her a coach. But then I was like, what I'll do is we'll get to the airport and I'll sell my first class ticket back to them. Pocket that money, the $3,800, and then I'll fly coach with her, and then we'll have all this extra money to play with. So I was like, oh, this is going to be great. So then we get to the airport, and I go to I go to sell the ticket, and they're like, yeah, the only problem is the money doesn't go to you. It goes back to Miramax.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, no. And they're like, but you could be a nice boyfriend and let her fly first class while you fly coach. And I was like, really? The skinny girl gets the big seat and the good meal while the fat guy has to go in the back with the crap meal? They're only here for me. So then, you know, I couldn't sell the ticket. So then she went back and coach, and then I'm in first class. And then the whole plane ride, I'm sending food back to her. And I'm telling the steward, I'm just like, dude, bring her some grapes. Bring her, you know, send her a wine. Send her this. And then there was nobody sitting next to me in first class. So she came up, and the steward runs over, and he's like, you're not going to believe this. Here she comes. You did it. So he thought I picked her up on the plane. So then I had like Mac powers on the plane.
That's
and like,
incredible.
Yeah, so then she got to sit in first class next to me. I don't know. That's
all
a goofy
works out.
Awesome.
That's seriously
Anyways,
fucking
yeah.
thinking on
the
your
fun
feet.
of that. Anyway, nothing happened with the movie. Harvey kind of, I heard through the grapevine, he was kind of pissed that he didn't get a crack at Just Friends. So he kind of shelved the Sunburn movie. So nothing ever happened with it. And then there were 2 attempts to get it out of Miramax, one by Universal and one by an independent producer that both wanted to make it. And then the money that Miramax was asking to release the script was too cost prohibitive. So they just backed away. Nothing ever happened with it.
So is that where the movie stays?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? Eh?
Really? So it's on a shelf somewhere still if they ever decide to.
On a shelf at Miramax. Whatever is left of Miramax.
Right.
Not much.
So if
A cancer-ridden fuckhead.
and maybe you don't know this, but if the company say dissolves, would you get that back, or
Would you get the right to bid on it?
Yeah, no, I'm even curious how the fuck that works.
I don't know.
Yeah.
At this point, it's been so long.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
Right.
funny. At one point, this independent producer, like, he was like going to pay me to do a rewrite because I had to like add cell phones to it. Like,
That's how much time had gone by.
yeah, you know, the advent of cell phones had become so prevalent that I had to now bring that into the script.
Right,
You know?
right.
Holy shit.
But
That's funny.
it's fine. You know what? I mean, that's the way I look at it. Like, look, I've had tremendous highs and low lows, and that's the journey. You know, it's a roller coaster. And you don't. I didn't get into this to write one script or 2 scripts. I got into this to just do as much as I could. And whenever, you know, so it's like, okay, I got paid for it. I got stuff out of it. I got stories out of it. I got stories on the way to fucking learning about Club Med. I got Club Med out of it. You know, so it's like, okay, you know, net positive, and then move on.
For sure.
Is that like you say, like, how many scripts have you written that didn't go anywhere, that don't get seen? Like, I imagine once you start getting into the industry and you start doing the thing, like, you're just like, I'm gonna write that story. I'm gonna write that story because it's like, get it out. Maybe it will happen, right?
You're
Like,
working.
you're working, right? So you're obviously writing more than when you're not working. So do you see a lot of your babies go and die?
That's a fun way to put it. Let's see. No, you know what it is? I actually had I was pretty proud. I had a pretty good success record of ideas to getting money for them. Whether they actually got made into movies is a different story, but like, a lot of stuff did get me paid. So I felt good about that. There's also, like, you know, there's spec scripts where you just write it on your own, and then there's like assignments, or there's page 1 rewrites, or there's punch-ups. So all these are like the different things that a writer, you know, goes through, you know. So I might get hired to, you know, they send me a script and they're like, we like the idea and nothing else. Go, just use your voice and you know, bring, you know, what you're going to bring to it. Usually you pitch for that and you tell them what you're going to do, and then they decide if that's what they want. Other times, yeah, I'll just write stuff on my own. You know, I've gone out with a couple of, you know, my track record's not bad in terms of like going out with stuff and then getting paid for it. Like, yeah. I had one script that I wrote during the first not the first, but the writer's strike of 2008. I wrote a script during the strike, and then we went out with it and it didn't sell, but then I repackaged it as a TV show and I sold it to CBS. Did it get made into a show? No, it did not. But I got paid to write the pilot and go through that, you know, machination. So, you know,
and that was the goal.
I was like,
yeah.
And I guess, like you say, Jamie, like that seems to be the goal, where it's like, hey, I'm writing.
Yeah.
They're paying me for my shit. I'm eating. I'm surviving. Great. there I am, right? Like not every you I guess you learn to detach yourself from some of that shit. But then when like I imagine Spec was just Friends, right? You said it was written about the friend zone of college.
Yeah, so that was also on Spec, and the good thing with that one was I finished it and I sent it to my manager, and the first question he asked was like, "Hey, is this about me?" And I was like, "Hey, why the fuck would I write about you?"
Arrogant fuck.
Well,
But also, like, I don't know, I know your life our working, but I don't know your life. And then the other thing was, I was like, okay, that's a great sign, because that's how I felt. I was like, I can't be the only one who's gone through something like this. Now, the movie, with Ryan Reynolds and all that is very different than my life story, but, there's definitely elements that are in the movie that came from real life stuff. And again, it's about embellishing. It's about making it a better story, and also more of a movie, a 3-act story, as opposed to, whatever, happened in real life.
So like I mean, 2003, am I wrong?
2005.
2005.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry. Yeah. Dates are never my thing.
Don't worry.
Oddball bullshit is. But okay. So 2005, that is part of a different era of writing and being a part of making a movie, I imagine, than writing and making a movie today, or writing and making a TV show today, because of the change in landscape.
Well, just adding cell phones, like you said.
Well, sure, yeah. But what I mean is that like you were probably part of an era still that like you were on set a lot. You were part of the making of the movie, where nowadays they just take the writer's thing and then they go, and then it's like, see ya. Or am I wrong?
I don't know. I don't know if you see. Here's the thing. The thing I always say, like, look, there's a very important person that if you're the writer and they, if they hire a director, and you want to be involved and you want to be on set, or you want to be in any way consulted, become friends with the director,
Right?
Because that is your gateway to all of that.
Right.
So I was always very agreeable and amenable to directors. And look, every director is going to come on and they're going to want to do something to the script.
Yeah.
So, I was like, look, I will do, let's talk it through, and let me help with that process. So when they hired, what's funny is a lot of people don't realize this, Just Friends, we had a false start. They had hired a different director, and he had come in and pitched for the movie, and he had mentioned one little tweak he wanted to do in the beginning of the movie. And it was actually an excellent idea.
What was it?
So they flew, what's that?
What was it?
It was to give Ryan, something like physical that then later, like when he gets hit with the hockey, like he has to put like a retainer back in his mouth or whatever. Right. So it's like, give him some kind of thing in the beginning that will pay off later. And great idea. So they fly me out to LA, and I'm supposed to spend like 3 days with this new director. And he hadn't directed a movie yet, but he had been like a second unit guy for some big things. And I met with him, and all of a sudden he's telling me how he wants to change this and change that. And I was like, whoa, I thought we were just doing this little thing in the beginning and then pay it off at the end. He goes, yeah, but why not? I think we should change. And I was like, well, I'm here for 3 days. I can't rewrite the whole movie in 3 days. He goes, no, you're going to go back to New York. You're going to work on it for a couple of weeks, and then you'll send it back. So over those 3 days, we just went through all these notes, all these changes he had. And I went home and I wrote it up and I sent it in. And I get a call from the studio, and they're like, what the fuck did you do to the movie? And I was like, me? I go, that's what your director wanted to do. Okay, we'll call you right back. And then I'm just sitting there like sweating. And then I get a phone call. It's like, okay, yeah, so he's fired, and we're going to pay you to change it back.
That's how quick it is, eh?
Wow.
Yeah, that was quick. And then this was like 2001, 2002, maybe. It wasn't fully, maybe closer to 2003. I don't know. But the point is, yeah, so then this was the early days of like writing programs and stuff. So they didn't realize all I had to do is open the old draft.
Yeah.
So I literally sat around for 2 weeks pretending I was working on changing it back.
Yes.
And they gave me like, they gave me like $150,000 or something to change it back.
Fucking hell!
That's unreal.
And then implement the one little thing that the director wanted.
You're like, I have draft one. I could just use draft one, I guess.
No. Shush.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Nobody in the States is going to hear this, right?
No, dude. No, trust me. No, we had a
few people in San Jose.
Yeah. No, we had a big following in Where
Salt Lake City.
we
Salt
had been
Lake
following
City,
Utah for a minute, but we
right.
think it was just one guy with way too many wives, and
Well, they're just like, more men. More men.
yeah, they didn't know what we
They
looked
love
like.
us.
Yeah, they love our voices.
Yeah.
Right.
But anyways,
Yeah.
go on.
So, and then they brought in Roger Cumble, who was the director, and then he was like, look, I have some ideas. And I was like, great. So we came to New York. We holed up for 2 weeks. We wrote a lot of stuff together, changed some things, knowing that we had Ryan, knowing that we had Anna Faris, knowing some of the things that we had. He was also like, let me, what do you think about like casting some of the parts? So it's like, yeah, I made suggestions. Anna Faris was one of my suggestions.
Nice.
And Chris Marquette, who plays the brother, the younger brother.
Yeah.
My buddy of mine, who's a director also, he called me up. He was like, I just saw this movie, The Girl Next Door. I think I just saw the younger brother for your movie.
Glitz.
And I was
Glitz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
and I was
awesome.
like, I love this guy. So yeah, he got in, and and then we would have like who should play the mom? Oh, like wish
Julie
list. Like, Julie
Haggerty.
Yeah,
She
so,
was wonderful.
And then suddenly it's like she's coming to set, and I'm like, oh my god, she's here.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
You really did have a wonderful cast though, like Stephen Root and Chris Klein. Like you just nailed it. Is there anyone on there that was just truly like, other than Ryan and Anna, obviously, but who did you really enjoy working with?
I enjoyed working with all of them. I mean, Stephen Root was only there for a day,
Yeah.
but we
Yeah.
were so excited to get him.
Oh, yeah.
And then he took that scene and just like that scene was just a throwaway scene in a sense, and he turned it into something amazing, like little ad lib like "Daddy wants a fish."
Yeah.
Like, that was just
That was
just
so-
him. Like
that
that
was
was
so
him.
funny.
Anna Faris is my favorite by far. She is just a machine of comedy. And Ryan is great. Amy Smart was really good, but the only thing is like it's tough because she's playing the straight,
Right,
she's the straight man
yeah.
Right.
in this.
She's doing
but
setup.
she wanted to be funny because she sees everybody else being funny.
Right.
So it's like trying to find ways that she could be funny, but she's not really comedy oriented. So, but also her part isn't meant to be funny. Like not
Right.
everybody's supposed to be funny. So trying to get that, sometimes like we spent a lot of time sometimes trying to get a joke scene and then it didn't really work. So it got cut. And it was just like, oh, we did 38 takes of that and spent half a day, but okay. But look, she was wonderful when she was doing the thing that she was hired to do. She was fantastic.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and Chris Klein was awesome. I don't think he's ever been better. Like he got to really play a character that was so, like he brought that Dusty Dinkelman to life.
Oh, you almost believe him too.
You
Like,
do.
Yeah,
he gets right in. You know he's just going to be the dirtbag at the end, but he.
Oh yeah.
Well, and he
He
never.
When
nails
he
it.
comes in the beginning and he's got the long hair and the
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's got the clear anger management issues when he's freaking out with the guitar. Yeah. Well, and looking at Chris Klein, especially around that time, he never really played villains, really. And in
No, he
this,
was the hunk, the heartthrob.
Yeah, and you can tell he just embraces the villain. Like one of the funniest scenes is at the end when Ryan is just confronting him at the church, and they scream at each other, not realizing, right? And then he tackles him. Like, oh, it's unreal. Unreal.
Who wants to join us in a carol to our Lord. And right. Yeah, this is fun.
Oh, is that his album?
Simply Dusty.
Oh my God, that's his album.
That's
I've got a CD, Simply Dusty. I think
That's
it's empty.
great.
I don't think there's actually anything in there.
so funny.
There is a CD.
Oh my God, that's great.
I don't think I've ever
great.
played it, but I bet it has something on it.
So speaking of the music, like we were talking about this earlier, but like you wrote the songs, right? Like Forgiveness and so when I saw that you had wrote them, I was like, is it different? Like when you wrote the song, did you have that in mind of how it's sung in the movie, or was that a lot of the actors taking it and also just like vibing with it, making it their own kind of thing?
Yeah. Was it like a punk song? Or
Yeah,
was it
like
a
did
folk
you coach
song?
them like how to sing it kind of thing, or did you kind of let them like, you know what I mean? I was just so interested by that when I saw that you wrote, because I love, till this day I still sing Forgiveness. Yeah, like I think it's one of the funniest songs I've ever heard. So
Thank you. Yes, I did write the songs. And it's funny because I think in the original script, I don't know if the song was like written out. It would say something like she sings a song or like, he goes to the thing and she's singing. And then you realize, oh, wait, we need an actual song. So the first one I think was The Love from Afar that Anna Faris sings in the recording studio. So I just came up with that and I kind of sang it out for everybody and then like, whatever. And she's going to just, mutilate it anyway. Here's the funny thing. She was like, I am not a good singer, so don't worry. It's going to suck. And then she sings the first version, and she's actually pretty good. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, you need to make that worse, a lot worse. And then poor Chris Klein. Chris Klein was like, oh, I was in chorus as a kid. I'm a good singer. Then he sang, and it's like, all right, we're going to need to dub that. But you know what? Forgiveness. I did sing also at at these like script meetings or whatever. I was like, okay, I got something.
That's amazing. You're in a meeting with a bunch of execs and you're like, hang on, let me find my tune.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, also, her stuff was easier because she's going to be, and I just love, it's like forgiveness is more than saying sorry. It's accepting people's flaws. So she was not even really forgiving. She's just accepting your flaws. She's not forgiving. Yeah. So I love that one. The Jamie Smiles. So the funny thing is this, so the character was initially named Amy because my just friend girl was named Amy. Then we cast Amy Smart, and then she's like, I don't want to play a character that has my name. So then I'm like, fuck, because I want the real girl to see this and know it was you. And so I was like, it's got to be a rhyming name. So it became Jamie. And then, the Jamie Smiles. Yeah, I wrote that. That might have been in the original script, although I'm not sure. But again, like while we're in Canada, I was able to write the songs. It's only pieces of songs. It's not full songs or whatever. Roger, he loves writing song stuff too. So he took Jamie Smiles and then he wrote alternate verses and stuff to it. To make a longer one. So on the DVD, there's like a music video that he shot with a full Jamie Smiles song.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. We were also talking before too. One of the best brother on brother fight sequences in the history of
most
cinema.
realistic brother.
Really, truthfully,
I've ever seen.
I don't have a sibling, but I felt those ball
Michael's
punches.
an only child.
I'm an only child. I suffer the syndrome, but both of these guys have siblings, and it's like is a lot of that like Ryan and Klitz fights, and then they just improv it, or is there because it's them beating the shit out of each other like brothers.
Yeah, so I was an older brother. Roger.
We know you were the asshole.
Yeah, I was definitely the asshole. But my brother got so much bigger and stronger than me, though. That stopped at some point. But the point is, Roger had a brother. I had a brother. And it was like, I don't even know if it was spoken, but it's like, let's make the brothers like really like brothers. And Ryan and Chris really hit it off well, and we're like, do whatever you need to do. And Roger was definitely encouraging them. Like the drooling of the spit and the whatever.
Yes. God damn.
That just came from them playing and there's lots of takes of them doing all kinds of crazy shit to each other. But then the beautiful scene where he gives them a cookie.
Oh my god. It's like
one of my favorite parts.
And it's so unexpected. Like what I loved was I was telling these guys is like I had an older brother 6 years older than me. So all this right? So all the scenes of them like really Ryan beating the shit like one of my favorites is the phone. That was one of my ways to get revenge at my brother was grab the landline, lock myself in a room, and just scream on it. And, it's you really capture that sibling rivalry, but especially was like me and my brother hated each other, but on Christmas, on Easter, the days that mattered, it was just love. And I love that they go to hit each other and then stop, and he's like, I love you too, and gives them and it's so unexpected. It gets me every time. It's so funny, and you can see in the movie that Ryan and Chris just like they hit it off immediately. Like that rivalry they have in the movie, even the subtleties, like when the brother first shows up, because he sees Samantha, he runs across and slaps Ryan and sits right on the couch next to her. And I'm like, oh my God, just the subtlety. Like it's, you know what I mean? It's unreal. It's unreal.
At every turn, it was encouraged, be real brothers. And real brothers do that stuff to each other. I mean, look, that's also some of the stuff that gets us in trouble in today's culture. Some of the, I think what you were alluding to before, some of the, raise your hand if your brother's a homo, like that. You're not supposed to say that, but that's what brothers do.
It was, though. It was.
They do. They're shit heels. They act like assholes to each other.
It's true. And again, they're brothers. Like, brothers jab each other like nobody else. And that's a jab, right? Like,
And look, to be honest, it's funny. I mean, most of the people I know don't have a problem with it, especially if you are of a certain age. But then, like, I get it, but also, like, who's saying it? It's the annoying younger brother. You're not supposed to root for that guy, really. So it's not like your lead hero is saying horrible shit. So
and again, just like a little brother, he acts like the shit. And then how many times is he like, Mom?
Exactly.
And he's just screaming for help, right? Just like a little brother.
Little bitch. So you got to see it before everybody in the world really knew about it. Has he always, and I mean Ryan, has he always been the improvisation king? Like, was it evident then, or was he kind of coming into his stride? Like, watching that kind of thing as someone who writes comedy must be magical for you, because you're like, oh, this is exactly what I wanted to see.
Right. Well, we already knew it's funny because he hadn't been in a lot of things, but he had been in enough things that we saw like what he was capable of, even if it hadn't been like a big huge success or anything. I mean, but Van Wilder had come out already, so like we'd seen that the pizza, the two guys, a girl on a pizza. Actually, it's funny. I was at a meeting one time and they, it was for a TV thing, and they were like, "Are you familiar with the show Two Girls and a Guy?" And Two Girls and a Guy, and I was like, "That used to be Two Girls, a Guy, and a Pizza, right?" And they were like, "Yeah." I go, "Yeah, I stopped watching once you lost the pizza."
It was a big thing for me.
That meeting did not go well.
They hated you right after that.
But I will say this. Roger said to me, he was like, "Look, Ryan is kind of Jim Carrey-esque. Yeah. He's going to be able to do a lot of things, both verbally and physically. So I want to do at least, with a lot of things, like we'll do a Ryan take. We'll get what's in the script, we'll get what's there, and then we'll say, hey, let's do a Ryan take, and you can go nuts." That's awesome. And so some of the fun stuff is him, like, just taking it up a notch. But also it's funny because there's a lot of pressure on you. It's like, okay, we got it. Ryan, we're going to do a Ryan take.
Yeah.
Go crazy. So now it's like, do you have to go crazy? How crazy? Like, so every scene there's like him with his pants over his head, like, whipping him around. And like, no, but it's like, it's like, it's just like, what is he going to do? So every now and then he would be like, "You know what? I'm good. I think we got it," or I don't have anything. And then sometimes he'd be like, "Oh no, I got something. Let me try this." And it's one of those things like on set, everybody's laughing. Is it really funny? You check it out in the editing room. Does it work?
Right.
That scene where he's in the car and he's going with his hands and he's like having a fake conversation. That was an encouraged Ryan take. So just go. And then afterwards, he was like, "Oh my God, I feel so stupid." But it's like, you know what? It works. And the reaction she gives, like, that's where she was really funny. Amy Smart, like looking at him doing that. But like, she didn't have to do much. Just look at him like you're fucking crazy.
She just comes down to the window and stares at him for a couple of minutes.
And she looks at him for a while that person should run away.
Yeah.
So but that was an encouraged Ryan take, I believe.
That's awesome. And it's cool to just know that like there was that freedom on the set to be like you said, he might do something and on set it was funny, in the editing room it's not, but everybody was having a good time on set. It was all like, you know what I mean? And that's all part of the process. It was a fun process and like you said, you probably saw so many takes that you're like, it's not even in the movie, but we love doing it and it shows. You know what I mean? So
100%. Yeah. I mean, it is funny too, like people's, like how they think movies work, like, and like they'll read a review or they'll see a movie and they'll be like, oh, the writing is terrible. And it's like, who knows how much of that wound up on screen was actually the script or the studio, the producer, the director, the actors. Like, there's a lot of layers. So it's like I've gotten shit on for things I didn't do, and I've gotten applause for things I didn't do either. So it's like,
Best
Yeah.
of
It's a
both
balancing
worlds.
act,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, and
Whatever.
it goes back to the story you said. Like you had to change the script because the director told you, but the studio
Yeah,
called
yeah.
you and was like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah.
That must
Right,
have
yeah.
been refreshing. Wait a minute, the studio's on my side.
Yeah, you're
what
like,
the
whoa.
fuck is happening here?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, at that point, that we'd already worked on it for like 3.5
Right.
years.
Right.
It's like, really,
That
we're
was
gonna
the
just
story.
throw it all out?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not like, a director with like a huge track record was coming in. It's like, no, trust me. You know, it's like Spielberg shows up. All right, I want to make some changes.
Right.
No, it's a guy who never did anything before. So it's like, all right.
That's what's so weird. Like this would have been a huge opportunity for him, and he came in with the ego before
Came
he
in
had
hot.
the like checks
Too
to
hot,
really
yeah.
check it. Right. Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You part of the casting process included Jimmy Fallon at one point. How did that go down?
Yeah, I was out in LA and I was at the New Line offices and we were still kicking around who's going to play the lead. And they say, let me show you a tape. It's an audition tape of a guy who just got hired for SNL. The ladies seem to love him. He seems to be fun and funny. And he's, he's good looking, but not like, conventional good looking, and
Threatening.
they put in a tape of Jimmy Fallon pretending to be Adam Sandler playing guitar.
Yep.
And that was his SNL audition.
Shabba-da-doo.
Yeah.
Shabba-da-doo.
Yeah. That was his big audition tape. Yeah.
That's
Yeah, so I
ballsy.
was like, wow, how meta is that? Like you're auditioning for SNL by being other people on SNL. So I was like, all right, he seems cool. And they're like, look, he's back in New York for SNL, and why don't you meet with him? He read the script, he likes it, he has some questions. And then one of the early versions of the script that he had read was pretty raunchy. It had some pretty raunchy shit in there, and it probably would have been an R-rated movie if that stuff stayed. And I was happy to lose it because
With
I was
Jimmy
like,
Fallon. Wow.
yeah, so he was like, we met, we had a burger in Times Square area, or Hell's Kitchen area, I should say. And we spent the day together. And, he was a super nice guy. He wasn't at a level of fame where we were getting bothered. Right. And we walked around. We went to Times Square. We went to a record shop. We were like record shopping, like two old friends making each other laugh. And I was like, yeah, he seems great. And then the studio's like, yeah, I don't think he's big enough. I was like, oh, okay.
Why'd you give me this great mandate, dude? What the fuck?
Yeah, that's so weird, hey, how that happens. Like, wow.
Weird, yeah.
Is it?
And then there was another name that got bandied about. They were like, there's a movie called Wedding Crashers, and there's this unsung guy who's like is stealing scenes and is really good. This guy Bradley Cooper. What do you think of him?
Wow.
Yeah, he was good. I was like, yeah, I like him. I don't know, he might be a little good looking, but I realized that's what we, originally it was going to be like a comedy guy who's not, all that attractive,
right,
trying to be with a really hot, movie actress, So like at one point there was like, oh, Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore, Adam Sandler and Julia Roberts at one point they were talking.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. And then actually the hockey scene had to get changed because originally he hits the puck into her face. And they were like,
shit.
yeah, Julia Roberts cannot have a missing tooth or a black eye. So we got to change it. And it's like, okay, fine. He'll hurt himself. And that's how that changed. But yeah, originally it was going to be comedy guy with, beautiful woman. And then it was like, okay, now we've got, when they got Ryan Reynolds, I'm like, okay, that's fine. But like, who's going to believe that guy would ever be in the friend zone? Like, I'm in the friend zone. Ryan Reynolds is not in the friend zone. So it's like, no, we'll make him look like you. We'll put a fat suit on.
Gotta give comedy guys a chance.
Well, and like that's what makes it so grounded, right? And that's what's also so fun is that we, like us chubby guys, we all want to be that Ryan Reynolds, right? That's what I attached to because I was like, oh my God, I've done that where I've like gone away and been like, that fucking high school girl who didn't want to talk to me, pretty good looking now. Like I sympathize with that plight.
What I love too is you have. Yeah, like so you have, let's say, like Fat Reynolds in the beginning, and he's obviously like doesn't have the confidence and blah blah blah. But then there's that part where he's hot Reynolds, but he's it's not going well.
He returns to Chris.
Yeah, and he's like, I'll be the biggest pussy ever, and he's trying to, and it's interesting seeing like him play
the juxtaposition.
Yeah, trying to mold the two characters into
trying
one
to out
almost.
Dusty.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. So and it's funny. So now hearing it, you say it like that, it does make sense why he's in the fat suit in the beginning. I always was just like, yeah, like hilarious. Why not? Like, when is Ryan Reynolds ever going to look like that? So like,
yeah,
do you know what I mean? But no, yeah, what a great way to start the movie too. Like, I love the lip sync, and then you start the brother rivalry right away.
You do? Oh, you totally do. Now, was it always I Swear? Was it always? Or...
No, that was Ryan. We had a more conventional opening, like him writing the letter.
Yeah,
and it was just going to be that. But then he was just. We were trying to think of something. What could we do to really just capture you right off the bat? And Ryan just goes, "I know all the words to I Swear." And it's like, oh, okay. So then he pops up and he starts singing the song, and he knew the whole song. So
and you guys kept that take like in the credits. The credits were rolling.
That's one of the best.
And it's the one.
It's
a one take, and like it's pretty. And it ends with everyone laughing. Like he's you guys can hear everyone. Like I thought that was a brilliant way to. Yeah, that's really hilarious. That's funny.
Roger Cumble is a big disciple of the Farrelly brothers.
Yeah.
So he loves how they end movies. With the Buttercup, with Mary.
Yeah.
With Something About Mary.
Yeah.
So he was trying to emulate. He wanted to do his version of something like that. Even his Sweetest Thing movie ends with a big song.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So he had that in mind, and he shot a music video for Jamie Smile. So he thought that would be the credits, but then the studio wasn't so sure, and then they saw the I Swear, and they were like, "Yeah, let's just go out with that." It's pretty awesome. Meanwhile, I take tons of shit now about the fat suit. Like people are like, "Oh, fat phobic. It's fat phobic."
Oh my god! No, it's called high school, buddy.
It's called comedy, right? Like
it's high school. What do you want?
Kids are assholes.
Yeah.
I've got to ask you. Was because my God, you guys chose to shoot in Saskatoon in the middle of winter, and that's just misery on its own. But I gotta ask, as a Winnipeg-based show, were we ever considered for that, or was Saskatoon always the original choice?
All right. Well, first of all, it was Saskatchewan. It wasn't Saskatoon. No, that's a big difference, right?
No. Well, that's just their only city.
No, you know what it was? Regina.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it was.
Regina.
Yeah,
It was Regina. Okay.
Everybody does that.
Yeah, everybody heard the word Regina and was so intrigued by it that we had to just shoot there.
It's the city that rhymes with fun.
Yeah,
That's right.
You know what it was? They had brand new studios. They had the Canada tax break, but they had these beautiful studios there. And then we're like, well, and it also has the cold. We don't have to import snow.
Yeah.
We don't have
boy.
You're going to see people's breath when they're talking. So all the misery and all the the negative 55 degrees. That's all waiting for you in the beautiful Regina. And then Moose Jaw was our other.
Yeah.
Shout out Moose Jaw.
And I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't seen, especially being born and raised in Winnipeg, and that's our default winter. I've never seen Hollywood depict a true winter like in Just Friends. Like you feel like I was telling these guys, one of the funniest scenes, and
my
I love
nipples
that you have them
are
there,
hard when I watch that.
when the little brother leaves the windows down in the car.
Yeah.
And it's just
it freezes
fucked.
overnight. Like that's what
It's a
fucking
real
happens.
thing. Yeah, for sure.
It
That's
happens without
100%.
leaving them down.
It's true. Yeah, we plug our.
And I don't even think we had to do a prop thing. I think we just literally left the car.
That's
Hell yeah.
amazing.
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
But it was, and you know what? Look, it was great. I fucking loved it. Wait, you're in Winnipeg. Why are you wearing a Detroit Red Wings hat? Why aren't you a Jets fan?
It's a family thing.
Okay.
He's
From Detroit.
He's anti-bandwagon.
Because I choose happnos instead.
He doesn't want to be let down 40 games into the
That's
season,
right.
Adam.
And the wings
Right.
good? Wings are good?
No,
No.
not particularly.
Still a real tradition. That's good.
Yeah. Look, I'm a New York Rangers fan. I've had 1 year of happiness. And, that's about it.
You guys had Messier, and I don't know what's going on this year. I'm sorry.
Messy.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
man.
At least we have a good goalie.
That's right. I'd kill for that.
Yeah. But Canada was fucking great, and the crew, the local crews were great. The story, as hockey fans, obviously Ryan plays hockey in the movie. I'm a huge hockey fan, so I wrote hockey into the movie. In real life, there was a girl I was in love with in high school, and I think she was a year younger than me, and we're playing floor hockey in gym, and I was a hockey player, so I was really good at hockey. Most of the kids didn't play hockey, so I could easily tool around them, score goals and stuff. So the gym teacher knew that, and he was like, Davis, you got to be in goal. And I'm like, what? I want to score goals and impress Mary Beth. And he's like, no, you're in goal. You're in goal. Okay, great. So now I'm in goal, and I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to score a goal as the goalie. So I make a save. I go through the whole, everybody on the floor, and I score a goal as the goalie. And the gym teacher's like, Davis, you stay in the fucking goal. You're not supposed to come out of the goal like that. And I was like, okay, fine. So now in my head, I'm like, I got it. I'm going to score a goal as the goalie all the way across the gym. So I get I make a save. I tee it up. I point at her like Babe Ruth. I'm like, check this out. And I fucking wind up the stick and I crank it, but it's the goalie stick. It's not meant for shooting. And the fucking ball, I think it was a ball, went flying sideways, nails her right in the head. She falls out of the bleachers and lands on her face. And the fucking ambulance had to come. They had to put her in a gurney with neck traction.
It's 100% true story.
Just exactly like Ryan in the movie.
Exactly like Ryan in the movie.
And
Dear Lord.
yeah, so that happened in real life. So I had written that into the movie.
Got to keep your head up.
And again, like I said, the studio was like, you can't hurt the girl, let him hurt himself. So yeah, we changed it. We've had to change it for that. But yeah, all the hockey stuff was in the movie.
Hell yeah.
So obviously we wanted to show that he was good at hockey. So we have that scene early where he's in like a men's league, and because we're in Canada, Ryan doesn't play hockey. So that's the thing. He's Canadian, but he's the one guy who doesn't play. And he actually fell like doing a practice ice skate in pre-production before we had even started shooting. He fell and dislocated his shoulder. They had to pop it back in. I thought the movie was going to get like pushed or whatever. They were like, no, he's okay. But he didn't play hockey. So, obviously we have the close-up shots of him, and then we have somebody doubling, to score the goal and do the nice play. In Canada, there's so many good hockey players that we had to like pick the fifth best person because the first four people were so good, they would be like, people would be asking why he's not a professional hockey player. And then the crew was so excited to shoot this hockey scene. They broke out this sled. They broke out all this stuff to shoot this amazing hockey scene. We got it on like take 3 or 4. These guys worked all night. They wouldn't leave. We're like, we're done. You're done. Like, go home. And they're like, no, we can do it better. And then they would just keep doing hockey scenes. Like at one point where I was like, we're not making a hockey movie. This isn't fucking Miracle or whatever. Like, stop.
But it could be.
It could be.
It was unbelievable. They wanted to like, we could do more. It's like, dude, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, the Canada crew was amazing. They really went for the hockey scene though.
Speaking of,
which was funny.
Speaking of the Canada crew, you guys had a guy that we love from Corner Gas. It's
Brett Owanek?
Yes, sir. How did he come about being in this movie? Like, how did you guys find him?
You're a dentist.
They said that in order to shoot in Canada, X% of people had to be from Canada. So we're like, all right, I guess we got to find a Canadian.
That's right.
You know what? I don't know. I don't know exactly the process. I wasn't privy to how they got him, but we loved him. And Amy Maticio, who is also like a Regina legend, local acting, and they were fantastic. Really and good. Because they were unknown, they really fit the bill of the people that got left behind in Jersey. Right. So, it was, they were great. I don't exactly know how and where they, I'm sure they found Fred from Corner Gas, but, you know what it was? I'm sure it was this. We did have Canadian producers. So New Line produced it, but there was a guy named Bill Vince, who was a Canadian guy. Unfortunately, he passed away not that long ago, but he was Canadian. And so, he was like our on-the-ground guy. So he must have said, hey, we got a big show here called Corner Gas, and probably showed everybody Fred, and then people loved him. So it probably came from Bill.
Oh, that's just lovely.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. And like, I really love the relationship with the three of them. It's really nice.
It was just such a surprise, and like such a joyous surprise to see him in this movie.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
He's not sitting there trying to rip off his friends at the corner gas stop.
That's right.
Like we take his character and we see the elevation of his career.
It's just a grain. It's a grain elevation.
Yeah,
it's
a perfect grain elevation.
We mentioned the mom, but that was another thing too. Just again, I know she's not in it a lot, but like I lived in
Julie Haggerty steals the scenes.
Unbelievable.
Man.
Like I lived in Toronto for 5 years, and one of the years I came back and surprised my mom. And I know in the movie it's not an intentional surprise, but it was the exact reaction. She freaked out and then started crying, and the way that he reacts and she does it, it's just like, it's so relatable. It's just so great.
Peanut.
And Anna Faris's reaction is the best too, like her witnessing all it, because she's just like, what is happening?
Unfortunately, that's very my mom. Also,
yeah.
except she was the skinny version. But yeah. Julie Haggerty it was one of those things. It's like, let's try to cast it up. And Roger had some good relationships. And I just remember him like, you're not going to believe this, but we got Julie Haggerty who's going to play the mom. I was like, no way. And I think we were shooting something when she arrived in Canada, and I left the set just to go and meet with her and be able to like sit with her for a minute or two. And at one point, like when we were shooting in the movie theater, I'm such an asshole, but I'm like doing her to her, like I'm doing lines from Airplane, "Daughter Ted," and she's like, ha ha ha, and she's like being like totally, she's being kind, but I'm sure in her head she's like, get this fucking guy away.
That's awesome,
dude. You've made like the three of us like adore this fucking movie. It's in my like best of Ryan Reynolds lexicon, right?
Oh yeah,
it's a perfect comedy. It's got all of the things that you could want from it. Like it's one of those things that like people show their kids and shit. Like you're in the upper echelons of like one of the best rom-com Christmas movies ever made that is never on a fucking list. It's so sacrilegious.
And this is a city where they make a lot of rom-com Christmas
movies.
Dude,
they make so many.
We're the Hallmark capital of the world.
We
I'm
are
pretty sure for
like,
movies.
Adam, you should know if you ever do a thing like you can get up to a 65% tax credit.
No big deal.
Now.
No big deal. Think about it.
There's 3 studios that are operating here now. Basically, the business of Regina moved to Winnipeg is what happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I got a horror movie that I just recently wrote. That I mean, that would be
Winnipeg.
Cool. Most of it takes place
Winnipeg
in a room, but,
loves the horror. The horror scene's huge in Manitoba right now.
We've got rooms.
So.
Yeah, we've got rooms.
All right,
but
all right.
Bob Odenkirk will do it probably.
He's here already.
Yeah, but no, they did 2 Chucky movies here. They did Channel Zero, which was on Sci-Fi for a minute. Orphan.
Yep.
The Orphan sequel they did here.
Yep.
It's
really
getting
been
to
picking up.
It's been really picking up. And I mean, if you want, I can put you in touch with the people who know way more than me, so that they are the ones who do the tax credits and the funding and all that stuff for.
All right, let's do it.
Consider Winnipeg.
Yeah, we'll hook you up for sure.
I just got to get the money.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I know
it.
some of those people too, but I can't promise anything.
All right.
That being said, you've got so many great stories, and I can't let you go before I ask you about the rest of them. It's insane. When I read down the list, I was like, I can't wait to hear, because it's the shit we all like. It's the business of it, right? It's not the glitz and the glamour. It's the honesty. It's the real shit that goes down in a meeting at a lunch. And I just got to say, like, you DiCaprio almost walked out based on what you were wearing. Like, what the fuck, man?
No.
How do you handle that conversation?
No, it wasn't him. He wasn't the problem. The problem was the place.
Okay.
So I write this script because at this point I had done Just Friends, which I loved, but it was a PG movie. And then I gotten hired to do some other rewrites and stuff, very PG stuff. And I don't know if you can tell from talking, sometimes I like to be a little edgy. I like to, I like to bring a little R-rated fun to everybody's life. So I wanted to write something fucking dirty and a little grittier. I had just seen Fight Club, and it really imprinted on my brain. Okay, I'm going to write something like dark and dirty. So I wrote this movie called The Gardener of Eden. And it's kind of a vigilante story, with the fat loser, hero who accidentally, everything goes wrong in his life. And he's like, fuck it. And I'm going to beat the shit out of the next guy I see. He grabs some guy in the dark. He's beating the crap out of him. The cops show up. You think he's going to go to jail. He doesn't give a shit. And it turns out the guy he's beating up is wanted for sexually assaulting women in the neighborhood, and now he's a hero. So now he's like, okay, this is my calling. I'm going to be a vigilante. But he's a fucking idiot, so he's not good at it or whatever. So anyway, that was the premise. And I wrote this thing, and my agent was like, look, I don't know if studios are going to go for this. Producers might go for this, but I think actors who want, who have like production companies that want to do movies, I think actors will gravitate to this. And one of the first people he sent it to was Leo's company, Appian Way. And they called back and they were like, yeah, we love this. We're going to give this to Leo. And I was like, oh shit. Then I get a call like, okay, Leo's going to read it today. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get a call. Okay, wow. Leo's about 10 pages in and he's smiling. I was like, okay. Then I get a call. Like, he just finished page 25. I'm literally getting real-time updates of DiCaprio's reading of my script. And then by he's halfway through, he's really enjoying it. And I'm thinking the ending is like, I had a really cool twist ending thing. So I was like, okay, here it comes. Does he like it? And then it's like, all right, yeah, he finished it and he wants to meet with you. And I was like, oh, wow. This is great. So then they set up a meeting, and it's at a hotel in Midtown Manhattan, really swanky place that has like this bar cafe that's like kind of famous or whatever. But it's going to be in the middle of the afternoon on like a summer, maybe a weekend, or maybe like probably midweek or whatever in the summer. And so I show up for the meeting wearing shorts because
it's
a
hot.
fat guy in New York summer wears shorts. So I get there, and they're like, I see Leo sitting at a table. His back is to me, but he's unmistakable. His father is with him. His manager is with him. And as I start to go into this cafe, I don't know what you call it, this restaurant or whatever, the guy stops me, and he's like, sorry, sir, shorts not allowed in here. Oh. And I was like, dude. And he's like, sorry, there's nothing I can do. And I'm like, listen, asshole. My career is sitting right there at that fucking table. Do not let 1 foot of fucking fabric stop me from the rest of my career, please. And he's like, fine, run. And I had to run to the table like a fucking lunatic and jump into the chair next to Leo. He's like, oh, that's some entrance or whatever.
Why?
That's wild. The fucking maitre d' almost screwed you.
Yeah. And then we had a great meeting. His father knew the script better than I did. He's like, on page 45, that one line. I'm like, I don't know what the fucking line is on page 45. But it was, and then it was, like I said, the lead character was a heavy-set dude. So I was like, listen, I'd love to write a movie for Leonardo DiCaprio, but are you thinking about playing the lead? And he goes, no, I'm wrong for this. He goes, but I have a friend. I go, Ethan Suplee? And he goes, yes. And I was like, yeah, because I knew they were boys. My managers had also suggested him. And I was like, whoa. And he goes, dude, you don't understand. He goes, we did a table read of your script. I was like, what? And he goes, me and Tobey Maguire and this one, and Ethan was there. And usually at the end, everybody's like, oh, Leo, this one's for you. Or, yo, Toby, this one's for you. But this time everybody was like, Ethan, it's you. And so I was fucking so excited. We got a director. We shot some test stuff with Ethan. He was going to, start out really heavy, and then he was going to work out. We were going to take a break, and then he was going to, because during the course of the movie, he actually starts to work out and lose weight and get in shape somewhat. So even though he sucks at vigilantism, he actually does help improve his life. So
Cool.
By the end, he's a changed person. And then, Ethan got hired on My Name is Earl, the TV show.
Fuck.
But then we couldn't use him. And then they came back to me and they were like, hey, what about Lucas Haas? And I was like, well, Lucas is cool, but he's not fat. Is he gonna gain like 80 pounds for this? Like, is he gonna De Niro it? And they're like, well, no, why doesn't he, like, maybe he starts out scrawny and then he puts on weight. And I was like, okay, it's not quite the same. Skinny guy gets girls, but all right. I remember calling my agent. I was like, what do you think? And he's like, you got 3 choices. I was like, what are the choices? He's like, you say no, you won't rewrite it for the skinny guy, and then the movie dies. You say no, they say fine, they hire somebody else to rewrite your movie. Or you walk in there and you say, I'll do it. And I was like, all right, so I got one choice. I walk in, I'm like, yeah, all right, fine, fuck it, let's do it. So the movie did get made with Lucas Haas and Giovanni Ribisi and Erica Christensen's the female. David Patrick Kelly, the guy from Warriors, come out and play.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
He's in it as the father. Like, we had a fucking kick-ass cast. Jim Parsons, pre-Big Bang Theory, is in the movie. Turtle, Jerry Ferrara from Entourage is in it. Great cast. Movie came out pretty good, and it's sitting on a shelf.
No.
Goddamn.
Because I was like, where do I watch? Wait, have you seen this yet? How do I?
I was going to say there's
this?
a big twist coming at the end of this.
The big twist is if you're not scared of Russian pirate sites, you could definitely watch it. It's definitely been pirated.
Cool.
So
is it the same title?
It's called Gardener of Eden. They took
Okay.
off the for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
Just
right.
like
That's our homework, gentlemen.
That's I feel we need to watch and review for the next show.
Yeah, 100%.
Now,
Mike, do you got a laptop we can ruin?
yeah,
I have a
Exactly. Yeah,
I have a
rent
burner
rent
laptop. I have a burner laptop we could use.
no shit. Now I'm noticing a running theme here. One more before you go is that so you run in and you come in like a superhero to DiCaprio, but then your wife runs into Martin Scorsese and pushes him over.
Oh.
Is that how that went?
So that was funny because so I'm working with DiCaprio on this Gardener of Eden, and it's his company. So I'm working with the director. I'm working with the the line producer because we're always fighting the budget and trying to take money out because we didn't have enough money to do everything that was in the script and stuff. But Leo, every now and then I'd get a note would come flying in from Leo thinks that this or that, and they were always fucking great notes. I mean the guy is movies. Yeah. So then I get a call. It's like, hey, you've been invited to the Aviator premiere. And you can go check out The Aviator at the Ziegfeld Theater, which is the big, huge theater in New York, and sit in the Leo section and watch The Aviator. So, and Martin Scorsese, who's my hero, or one of them, is going to be there. So I'm like, holy shit! So I put on a suit, which you don't know me, but like I've worn a suit 5 times in my life. 3 of them are funerals, one's my wedding, and one was this night. And I'm like, I put on my suit, and my wife gets dressed to the nines, and we show up at the Ziegfeld, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm gonna meet Scorsese after the movie. So we walk down this huge, the seating was arranged or whatever. They were like, you sit over here in this section, and we walk down, and we take our seats. And, Kevin Connolly, who was the director of the movie, he played E in Entourage. He's there. DiCaprio's dad is like, hey, Tex, and he's waving to me. And I'm like, feeling like, all good. Like Ethan Suplee was there. He was still in the movie at the time and some others. And I'm like, this is great. This is great. And then all of a sudden my wife turns to me and she's like, I got to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, what? I was like, why didn't you fucking go when we first got here? Because like the movie's going to start soon, and you're going to have to come back in the dark and find me in this gigantic like 500-seat theater and interrupt the movie. I'm like, oh my God, go, hurry. So she runs off to go to the bathroom, and I'm like sitting there like, oh my God, now I'm like sweating, I'm freaking out. Like, again, I don't want to do anything that's going to upset Martin Scorsese on his premiere of his movie. And it's like the story of Hanukkah. The lights just stayed on. I don't know why they stayed on, but they're staying on. Like they even made the announcement, all right, take your seats, we're going to start. And the lights just stayed on. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, thank God, like my wife will have some light to get back to the seat. And I turn and I look up the aisle, and there's Scorsese very slowly coming down the aisle, shaking hands with people on the aisle seats. Hi, how you doing? Hey, thanks for coming. Oh, hello. And, and he's making his way all the way down, and he's slow as shit. And it's great because I'm like, okay, it's going to give my wife plenty of time to get back to the seat. Now here she comes, barreling down the stairs, and Scorsese is like standing in the middle of the stairwell, and my wife fucking grabs him and like moves him aside, and then just keeps walking, and I'm like, what the fuck? She handled him, and he makes a face. He makes like that face like Clint Eastwood would make, like when the orangutan punches somebody, like you're like, whoa, and he's like, made like, whoa, excuse me for living, like one of those faces. And she just keeps coming, and I'm like, don't sit next to me. I don't want him to see
we're not married anymore, bitch.
And then, meanwhile, she looked phenomenal. Like she had like a fucking hat and a boa. She went all out. And she's gorgeous. But the thing was, so she like fucking moved Scorsese aside, and then she sits down, and then she says to me, she's like, what's with that old guy like blocking the stairs? And I'm just like, man.
Dude, that's incredible. That's like a Seinfeld moment. Like,
that's 100% Larry David.
That's incredible.
It was so Seinfeld. I was like, that old man is the reason I'm wearing a fucking suit for the 5th time in my life.
Just hearing that, what's with the old man on the stairs?
Quit stepping on my fucking career.
Doing? He's just like blocking the way. But I love that she didn't hesitate. She grabbed him and she just moved him, and she just kept going.
She was on a mission. She's on a mission from God.
Fuck, that's funny.
Fuck, that's amazing.
Awesome.
And then the kicker is like at the after party, like they come up to me and they're like, "So bad news. Marty's wife isn't feeling well, so he left. He doesn't care about these like after party things, so he just went home." And I was like, and they're like, "But Leo in the back, you can go meet with him." "Oh, I met with him already."
I already met him.
I know him already.
Yeah,
I know what's eating Gilbert. We've talked.
exactly. Can I go put on some shorts?
Let me out of this bitch. Oh, dude, Adam, this has been like a fucking pleasure, man. Can we? I would love to reach out to you again and just talk shit and like pick your brain and like do this again with you if you're down. Like this was great.
Unbelievable.
And your stories are amazing, and we would just like to talk to you about like the writing process and like what like just how it all works, and like get a bird's eye view from you next time if that's cool with you.
100%. You guys are great. Yeah, I love my Canadian neighbors.
Yeah,
we're here, man.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm an honorary Canadian.
Absolutely.
My brother married a woman from Nova Scotia, so it was really great. I spent time there. I spent time in Halifax. I have a Labrador.
That's half the battle.
Right.
You're already in. Dude, I'll send you the papers. You're in the club.
Hey, and like Mike said, let's get you over here. Let's make something over here. I think that'd be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
I will email you all of the film credit tax people's information and who to deal with. It's called Manitoba Film and Sound, and they went on like a pilgrimage to LA last like 2 years ago after COVID broke, and was like, hey, 65% tax credit
Film
Netflix,
Manitoba,
65% tax credit Universal, and like really put the word out there. We just had Bob Odenkirk do 3 movies here back to back.
And now we have direct flights to LA.
Yeah, and there's a direct flight to LA as well too.
That's right.
And
New York.
So like all those I got to be able to get home on the weekend deals. You can honor them and shit. So but is there anything that you are working on or have worked on that you want people to read or watch or whatever? Like any shit going on?
Yes, I would be remiss if I didn't mention I've got a new podcast. So that's the thing too. I've gotten into podcasting. So I have a new podcast called The OSCARS. What Were They Thinking? Where I look at the Oscars of the past and we try to say, like, what were they thinking when they nominated and awarded these movies? But also, what the fuck were they thinking?
I love
there's
that.
So many crazy, stupid anomalies.
Love it.
And I can go to any year and say, like, using the test of time, did they really pick the best pictures? Did they really pick the best performances? So I had this idea of looking at the old Oscars, and then I hooked up with the legendary comedy icon Bruce Vilanch.
No way.
Who not only is a joke machine and a movie encyclopedia, but he worked on the Oscars for like 25 plus years.
Wow.
He wrote the show, so he was there, backstage stories galore. He knows everybody. So the two of us, and I didn't even realize like how much he was going to defend the Oscars and how much I was going to attack them. So it's not just two guys in agreement.
Good balance.
I like that.
Yeah, we butt heads.
That's
and,
good.
For example, like our latest episode was the 1961 Oscars for the films of 1960.
Holy
And
shit.
the crazy thing about that is 3 movies came out that year in 1960 that are on the AFI, the American Film Institute's top 100 films of all time. 3 came out in 1 year. However, only one of them was actually nominated for an Oscar.
That's
and the
insane.
4 other films are, one of them you might know is Elmer Gantry with Burt Lancaster. But the other 3 I would name and you'd be like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I've seen them. And so you're like 2 amazing movies were left off. And so I think that that's a travesty. And I would go back in time and I would rectify the situation and put those movies on. And then, Bruce, of course, is like, no, there's reasons why they didn't get nominated. And if you want to know, spoiler alert, yeah, so The Apartment came out that year with Jack Lemmon.
Yeah.
So that wins the Oscar. It wins everything. Best director, it doesn't win. Jack Lemmon doesn't win.
That's
Elmer Gantry.
that's the rom-com that won, right? Like,
kind of. I mean, it was sort of a rom-com. But it's, Billy Wilder wins director, wins best picture. Jack Lemmon loses the best actor to Burt Lancaster in Elmer Gantry, which was another great movie. So those were the 2 big movies that came out that year, or that were nominated. But then a little movie called Psycho came out that year.
Shit.
Right.
Not nominated. And then another little, even smaller movie called Spartacus came out that year.
I think I've heard about it. Horse racing, right?
Yeah, they got no love except Peter Ustinov wins for Best Supporting Actor for Spartacus. And that's the thing. I'm reading down the list of the winners, and, I see the nominated movies: The Apartment, Elmer Gantry, Sons and Lovers, The Sundowners, and The Alamo with John Wayne. And so I'm like, okay, maybe it wasn't a great year for movies until I see director nominees: Alfred Hitchcock for Psycho.
Right.
Peter Ustinov wins for Spartacus. I'm like, Spartacus, Psycho, no Anthony Perkins, no Kirk Douglas, no Kubrick, no
That's
so I was just like,
crazy.
okay, that's crazy. So
Yeah.
I take the point of view of the common film person who
Yeah.
knows those movies and thinks they belong in the nominees. And Bruce is like, no, Psycho was to this, and Spartacus was just another sword and sandal movie. So we fight over that.
Adam, thank you so much for doing this. This was awesome. This made our night.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
I
thanks
can't
a
wait
lot,
to
man.
Yeah,
let's
true
do it
honor.
again.
It was awesome. Really awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure.
Have
Thank
a great
you,
rest
man.
of your night.
Thanks
And
again, Adam.
yeah, don't take your wife to any more events.
Or
No.
do, and then that show will be really funny just
yeah.
on her.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, take care, guys.
Take care.
Be well. Peace.
Oh, if you have any problems, dial information. Thank you for calling.